everyone, good evening and welcome to Boss versus Coach. At the outset, I once again thank you all for making this series immensely successful, the experience quite enriching, and the motivation that is flowing from you continuously, helping us drive this very important transformation from boss to being a coach. We recently did a series around psychological safety, and I must thank you once more for making that series quite successful with your responses, your feedbacks, and your participations. We have been calling people from the industry, people from the corporate side, the academic side, to come and share their experiences, their insights on what they feel and how on this transformation which is required, and I would say which is badly required in the industry. So we'll continue with our efforts till we keep getting your support and encouragement. Today, I am here to speak about the power of appreciation. If you see in the last minute, I have thanked you a number of times, and which I feel is still less. Uh, but when it comes to our professional life, we don't listen this word of appreciation or thanks very often. And one of the reasons for that has been that people all normally have hesitations, uh, find this term of thank you quite heavy to put on the tongue, and often get confused when they have to appreciate someone. Olivia, I find it quite funny and ironic that appreciation doesn't happen naturally while criticism does. So it takes a second for one to start criticizing or finding the shortcomings in the other person. But the same person has to appreciate it gets him into serious thoughts and deliberation. I have personally witnessed in my experience with my managers and my teammates that they are not very open to appreciating others while they feel that they need to be appreciated for everything and anything they do. So, what do you feel of this dilemma that appreciation doesn't come and doesn't happen naturally?
Well, before I dive into that, Mohit, of course, I want to thank you for this lovely journey we're on. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness around the subject, your unbounding energy that you bring to it, and the wonderful people that you bring for us to talk with as well. So thank you for that. I think it's really interesting if you think about the psychology behind how we interact with others. You know, we are wired evolutionary to look for danger. So we always want to look for the thing that will make things better. The stuff that works. So we want to look for what's trickier. But that said, what we really appreciate ourselves is when someone notices when we've done something which is helpful. And there's some really interesting research into high-performing organisations where they found that the proportion of appreciation to sort of constructive comments that works really well. I mean, would you believe that? What sort of proportion do you think would be right for, positive to maybe constructive? Any thoughts on what would be good?
So, I think if you ask me, appreciation should always be positive and constructive. I think, and we cannot appreciate others just for the sake of appreciating. So there has to be some sort of motivation, some sort of direction that should flow along with appreciation. But I, on the same side, feel, Olivia, that we should not even miss the opportunity to appreciate people
Right.
around us because there cannot be a special occasion where appreciation can be justified. I think appreciation is something walking around the corner or walking in the office, seeing someone doing something nice, just say, oh, you're great, doing great, or you're doing a nice work. And I tell you, these magic words matters much more to the team members than any other thing.
Absolutely. Well, in these high-performing organisations, they found that the golden proportion was between 10 and 12 affirmations to one criticism or constructive piece of input. And a lot of people would say, well, that's ridiculous. Everyone's just going around being lovely all the time. And a little bit of me thinks nothing wrong with being lovely. But what it is that psychologically we need an imbalance because we're not looking for the appreciation. And I don't know about you, but so often people will be like, oh, you did that really well. And people go, yeah, but tell me what else I need to do. So to actually get it to land and to sit with someone, it's like 10 to 12 to 1 criticism. So it is actually really helpful if you want your teams to hear you to be doing both. And like you say, both have to be meaningful. There's no point in just saying thank you and not meaning it. It needs to come from the heart.
Absolutely. So just to go deeper into this power of appreciation, we have got 2 special guests tonight. Shall I go ahead and introduce them, Olivia?
Please, yes.
Okay. So we have with us Namita Pandey. Namita is the CHRO of Srijan, has been very active involved in the not-for-profit sector. Namita is someone who has got an in-depth insight into the human resource and people culture matters, while she is also driving the coaching essentials through social media. Namita has someone who has guided many young professionals to the journey of becoming a coach, and she is inspiring people like us to be better every day. So I personally follow her useful thoughts on LinkedIn, and I must tell you, they are very deep, very inspiring, and she carries a real insight which can ignite many thoughts into you. So Namita, thank you for being a part of this conversation and sparing your time at such late hours.
Thank you so much, Mohit and Olivia, for inviting me here. I look forward to today's discussion.
The second guest we have, Olivia, is Aanchal Suri Bahdwar. Aanchal is working in the consulting sector for last more than 2 decades. She has been part of organizations like WSP, Deutsche Bahn, Aisha, and currently working with Jacobs. She has more than 2 decades of experience in business development proposals, while she has also seen the various sides of managing people and getting managed. So Aanchal, welcome to the show, and thanks for sparing time for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Mohit, and thank you, Olivia. It's a pleasure. I feel really fortunate to be here, and I look forward to the interesting dialogues we have today.
Sure. So just to begin with, Namita, what's your thoughts on the power of appreciation? How does it impact one personally and professionally?
So I think appreciation is very, very powerful. And I'll quote some stats also here. So I was recently going through a study by Gallup in which I found out that employees who are being constantly appreciated in the organization, so there are chances that they don't apply to, around 56% of those employees don't apply to other organizations. So which means more stability, more consistency in the same organization. And likewise, there's another study by Gartner which says organizations which have more employee appreciation practices, which have a well-designed program on that, so there an average employee's performance enhances by 11.1%. So these stats, I think, very clearly indicates the power of appreciation in organizations and the way they enhances more and more employee engagement, plus creates a culture where people feel more valued to the workplace. So definitely it adds a lot of value to someone at both personal professional level. As we know, someone who is spending 8 to 9 hours at office or at professional hours, and if the person stays motivated there, and when they go back to home, obviously that motivation, that enthusiasm moves back with them as their personality at their home level also. So in that sense, these appreciation practices help someone a lot.
No, fully agree. So Aanchal, what's your take on this? How do you see the power of appreciation impacting someone personally and professionally?
Yeah, so I totally agree with Namita that appreciation is the most powerful tool, whether it is personal or professional. For me, it has been from our bringing up from the time we studied, we were taught like thank you, and especially so I've seen throughout my personal and professional life that being more humble and appreciative of the small things always makes you foster relationships, whether it be in the personal space and professionally. Also it does impact because it not only helps in building relationships in the workplace, but also, as Namita has stated, and statistics have been shown, that it increases the employees' loyalty, and also it is an instrument of motivation. Who wouldn't like to start their day with a wonderful email of thank you? It always, no matter how many years of working, but a simple thank you would, it does boost. It's not like, yeah, we are interested in the work stuff, but once in a while, if we get that recognition, our child heart is still there. Whatever age we reach, we do love that a thank you word. So I feel it's the most powerful tool, and incorporates, yes, Mohit, it's not been that much used. Like there is a, there is a level of when to say, and sometimes managers, we feel that, yeah, sometimes we want to say thank you, but maybe in the heat of the time, and this, it also misses from both ends. But yeah, it is a conscious thing. If the organizations value appreciation measures, it does help in the overall employee, environment in the organization. Thank you again. I'm using thank
So
you. Yeah.
thank you, Archana, and thank you, Namita. So very useful insights, Olivia. There are stats, there are studies, there are enough research which justifies the power of appreciation, which justifies how appreciation brings quantum impact in the organization with the employees. Having said so, why do you feel still there is so much hitch in appreciating someone?
I think there's a pressure of work. I think people don't feel that they have the time. And I also, maybe controversially, I'm a little skeptical about, there's a lot of companies that have brought in sort of mechanisms for appreciating people, like you can give them an electronic thumbs up or a point or prizes or whatever. And I think that removes the humanity. And I think one of the main things people really want is to be seen and heard. And therefore that personal touch, I think, is important. But I'd love to hear, Namita, in your role as a CHRO, what do you see in the ways that people can appreciate in organizations?
I think the way organizations operate, so what happens is when we are expecting an employee to be more productive, and the chances as a leader or as a boss, when someone is managing this employee, the chances are to find faults, places where improvement is needed. So we always give feedback. Yes, this is something going negative, please work on this, or this thing needs to be improved, work on this. Rather seeing the strengths this person brings to the table and appreciating more of that. So the whole intent goes into correcting what is incorrect, rather building it up from good to better and to best. So that's how I think we are conditioned as an organization. But organizations which are more aware on this front and are very clear that whatever strengths these people bring, so let's build on that. So I think they have well designed programs as well. They create certain mechanisms either in team meetings where they'll ensure that people are first appreciated on the good works that they've done, and then we'll talk about areas where improvement is needed. Or every leader is just being trained that if your team has done very well, you should write an email to them, or just ensure that giving thank you or appreciating them over various forums or meetings wherever you meet. You start with that, and then you focus on the areas where they need to work upon, because then there'll be more acceptance, people will be more clearer in terms of what they're doing. So it all depends on that kind of conditioning.
It's interesting though, isn't it, that people need training to say well done and thank you to their teams. So it sounds fascinating to me that we've kind of lost that humanity in work.
Yeah, that is.
I agree. And in fact, Olivia, the other thing which hit my mind now is that very often when I have my conversations with my colleagues and different leaders from organizations, I sense that they have a fear that if I'm appreciating someone, how will I go tomorrow and scold him? If I am appreciating someone, what if tomorrow that person commits a mistake? Then how will I go and act differently? So, is this a roadblock, or is this something which we have ourselves built up in our minds to just avoid appreciating someone? I would like three of you to please share your thoughts on this.
I have quite strong thoughts, but I'm going to bow down and let others speak first. Aanchal, what do you think about Mohit's question?
Yeah, so I think it is quite a good question in terms of the workspace. We do see that many times the organizations have that mindset that, yeah, they don't want to use appreciation that freely, because then that power, there is a, there's a still, however well we try, there is always some, unsaid words, unsaid, that there is a boss and he has subordinates and he needs to have some, a way of dealing with them. So if he freely uses this thank you and all, people take him for granted, and it would be an instance when they are not performing and he's not able to bring up those measures because they take those things lightly. So that's where the organizations are like, as we started, that there'll be more as a feedback, and in the end maybe they say, yeah, you did something good, but hey, these are the numbers of 5 things, your targets, which you need to do it this year in order to reach the next level. Those are those drivers, and this essence in the corporate thing, especially from where I am coming, it's more competitive, and at times maybe the leaders have a special liking about your work, but it's also some paucity of time. But now I think organizations, there's a shift from the time I started my career, and now I'm seeing that it's there's been a lot of studies, and HR is also evolving, and they're more like how they see, you said, it's not that human. There are certain ways which are like, yeah, the leader should also have a certain amount of gestures, how he thanks his team. There is a budget for the team, you can say the team building, and one aspect is giving a big party at the end of one quarter to thanking, appreciating the team for their hard work. So these are the things which are happening now. But yeah, over to Namita.
Yeah, I think it depends on the maturity of the leaders, how they are handling situations. So sometimes leaders needs to be trained on this also, how to give feedback. So how to ensure that you have to give positive feedback as well as feedback on areas of improvement. Sometimes people are very confused. Either they give a sandwich feedback, which also sometimes does not result in the way. People who wanted developmental feedback, they'll be happy with the positive ones only. Or someone who is expecting the real feedback, the real developmental feedback, might think that, oh, I've done so well, but still I've not received that. So I believe as leaders, people need to be trained in how to give that kind of feedback, to ensure either when it is appreciation, or it is where we have to talk hard things, that has to also be given in that way. So this kind of balance in leadership, which eventually teams also understand, there is more acceptance. So people with high emotional maturity are able to do that in a way. Sometimes people, that's why that make them stuck, or they keep themselves back based on their own experiences. For example, if I have an employee and I've given a lot of positive feedback, I'm giving this person every day, and the fourth person, I realize this person needs a developmental feedback, it's not going good. But suddenly I'll feel, oh, how can I give this feedback to this person now, because I've been so positive and this person, we are sharing such a positive equation. But then this depends on the balance as a leader. How do I know when I'm giving genuine appreciation, it is in the betterment of this person? So that kind of trust established between this person and me. And likewise, when I'm giving developmental feedback, then also the person understand that it is for my own betterment. So that kind of relationship one has to establish, which I will say like coach and this particular person, where the person realizes it is for my betterment only.
I love that, Namita. And I love what you're saying about the emotional maturity of the leader.
Yeah.
And the quality of feedback giving. So if every day you're saying to someone generally, hey, you're great at your job. Hey, I love you at your job. You are doing a really great job. That's so unspecific that you're just kind of, it's empty, but also you're kind of being friends with them. So that when you come along and say, hey, actually, you're not that good at your job, of course they're confused and it's difficult. But what if, instead of being general, you were specifically saying, hey, I really appreciate what you did in that moment. I love how you opened the beginning of that report and the executive summary that you wrote, or whatever the specific things are, and really appreciating what was strong about them and giving them an understanding of why you appreciated it. Going back to the statistic I was saying at the beginning, if you are giving them a lot of appreciation for what they are good at, they are more able to hear you when you give them the developmental or corrective or other sort of input that actually holds up. Actually, there's something different or more that you could do. They're more ready to hear it. I actually found myself really sort of reacting to Mohit's words about things that people might say to him, where the words were, but what if the next day you need to scold them? Or if they make a mistake? And again, to me, as a coaching leader, I'm not their parent. I don't know why I'd be scolding them. I want to say, this specific thing here, this is how it could be done better, and bring your strengths that we've discussed every day this week to that place. And gosh, if someone made a mistake, well, maybe that's an opportunity to help them learn. So, for me, it's all relational. It's every conversation is building that relationship of trust, so that then the other person can hear the boss when they're saying, actually, there's something that you need to learn. Great, help me. So I think it's really interesting how people see it as, yes, but if you keep being nice to someone, how are you ever going to stop being nice to them? I thought we were teammates. It isn't about being nice, it's about being effective.
Yeah, I think
It's
people
very
who are
nice.
more genuine in terms of giving this kind of balanced feedback, either it's appreciation also at the same time and all same time development feedback, are being more considered as authentic leaders. So people
Yeah.
start appreciating them and start valuing them. They know that this person, if is giving positive feedback, that is a very, very genuine feedback, then this person really means it. And if it is either way, then they also understand, yes, it is in my interest that this person is giving me this kind of feedback. So yes, it helps in ensuring an authenticity and credibility to that boss as well.
Nice.
So I heard all of you, and I think these are very exciting discussion. I wish we could have got much more time to discuss and go much longer, but unfortunately, the clock is ticking fast. Olivia, I agree to what Namita said initially, that even the leaders needs to be trained on how to appreciate someone. I think this is something which I found as a major gap area. We don't know when to appreciate, how to appreciate, and the most important thing, we should not link appreciation with the performance appraisal of the individual. People should not feel that if I'm appreciating, I am bound to elevate this individual or I am bound to take him to the sky. Appreciation should be differentiated from appraisal, and I think that's the biggest mistake the leaders do. I have seen organizations who have got, like Aanchal mentioned, a lot of initiatives around appreciation, around team building, around taking the team bonding and those gestures, but people store them for the last of the year, and they feel that if I spend in between, a team will get spoiled, or I will end up doing my bit of them. So let it be stored till the end of the year, and as part of the year end appraisal, or I would say year end assessment, I will throw this budget on my team. If they do well, if they don't, I'll store it for the next year. I think that's something which I feel very funny and ironic. And on the other side, it also ignites a very important question, that do we know how to appreciate? Because the power will only come once we know how to use that power. So on that note, I have a last question for all of you. Do you feel there are scenarios where appreciation can backfire? Livia, over to you. Maybe then Namita and Aanchal. Or Namita, you can start first.
I'll go
Livia,
first. Do you like? I'll go first. Like I say, I think it backfires when it isn't considered. I think if you just go around telling everybody they're brilliant, if you just sort of scatter praise where people don't even know what they're being thanked for, it isn't meaningful, and it is therefore harmful, because it just makes people feel you're not really looking at me. You just are someone who goes around and says, yeah, everybody's great. It doesn't make me feel appreciated or special. So I think it's easy to think that you're being an appreciative person, where actually it's just wallpaper. It's just you're not saying anything to anyone. So I think that potentially is a tricky situation to get yourself into, because then you're not being authentic and you're not going to be heard. So Namita, what were you going to say?
I think if it is not authentic, then there are chances, as you said, about backfiring. But otherwise, I personally believe appreciation is always win the word. So even if I'm not doing something right, or I feel that things are not going the way as I wanted to be, but a small appreciation from someone, even if it is not authentic, or even if I know that it does not hold that kind of value that it should be, but still I think it boosts morale of the person. So it anyhow, anywhere, in any context, if it is given, it is always going to help someone move out of wherever they are. So it has potential.
I would want to add something on the contradiction. Sometimes it does cause some it shows a difference in the team. Like the person, if one person is really good and you want it or not, you end up saying kind of appreciating that person. So it does spark a bit of favoritism sometimes in the teams. It has been in some time of my career that I was performing, and my immediate manager used to give me more appreciation than my colleagues. So, and it was like that the team synergies were getting hampered. So it's up to the manager to do a fair thing. Sometimes it happens that he gets used to appreciating one person. So if it's done in the right manner, it's good, but sometimes it does backfire. It's not always like we do like a good gesture of appreciation, but sometimes, as Olivia said, that it should be specific. It should not be just as a formality. It should have the relevance to what we have done, and overusing it can also lead to disharmony in the team. So yeah, it's something which has to be used wisely, in my opinion.
So no, I think, yeah. So I don't know how to take it, because there is no, I think there is much more to be discussed on the power of appreciation, the way how appreciation should be dealt with, and also I feel it's equally important how the other person should take the appreciation. Because it is also one of the areas where we should, I think, try to discuss it, if not today, sometimes again, but how appreciation should be taken. Because I am aware of situations where even appreciation backfires. It sounds strange, it sounds surprising, but yes, it's a fact as well. So a lot to be done for appreciation. While we all believe that appreciation is something which we all deserve and we look forward to, at the same time, I think that's where the transformation from boss to coach stands, that we should know we must appreciate our teams, but appreciate them in a way where they see the value coming out of the same. So I think appreciation should not be left to a gesture or a routine, but it should be made a feedback, constructive, much positive, much directional, and which helps that person to become better and get appreciated every now and then. Any closing thoughts, Namita, Aanchal, Olivia, on this?
So, lastly, I think I want to appreciate both of you, Mohit and Olivia, for this series, Boss versus Coach. I think if all our bosses turn into coaches and the kind of each attribute that you're bringing in through different series, I believe if it gets impacted and we are able to convert this kind of culture, we are going to have this kind of coaching culture. It's going to create a much, much happier place where people feel fulfilled and content at work. So, hats off to both of you.
Thank you. Thanks, Namita. Aanchal, any closing remarks?
No, I think Namita has rightly said. So you both are fabulous people, doing so much of your this change in the boss versus coach, this paradigm shift towards the leadership. I think this is the new leadership, and yeah, it was great. Today we had very constructive discussion, and once again, thank you for inviting me over here, and I really enjoyed it.
I think, Olivia, we are successful in igniting the power of appreciation as we have started getting it now. So I think the viewers will come to know, see the magic. It's very instant and very spontaneous.
You guys deserve it. You guys deserve it.
Yeah.
It's a genuine appreciation. Really.
Thanks.
That's why I
Any-
think normally even I don't commit the time late evening because of family and other things, but I committed only because I fell for the cause for what you're doing. Yeah.
Thanks,
Well,
thanks,
thank you for that. Thank you so much. And thank you both for your really interesting perspectives. What I really like is we're on the same page, but we're not all saying the same thing, and really listening to the slight differences, the nuances, what you've said has really taught me a lot. And I really appreciate that. You know, just the chance to test my own thinking. I can be very sure about things, and then someone says something, I'm like, ooh, that's really helpful. So I'm very grateful for that. And of course, Mohit, appreciate you to
Thank you.
pieces for the platform that we have here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia, to you as well, and Namita and Aanchal for coming out, sparing your time for this interesting conversation. I'm sure the viewers will be benefited through this insights that we have shared over this show. They will start learning the power of appreciation. They will start assessing the impact of appreciation. I would request all of them to go back, start appreciating people around them, come back and share their experience with us. But as said, please appreciate with the intent of growing that person, and don't appreciate for the sake of appreciating. On that note, good night. Thank you very much. Take care and keep watching the Boss versus Coach series. Thank you, Namita. Thank you, Aanchal. And
Thank
all the
you.
best. And thank you, Olivia, as always. Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.